Bodycams give us a front-row seat to the real-life drama faced by police officers every day. But what happens when the footage captures the truly unbelievable? Get ready to witness some of the most jaw-dropping moments caught on police bodycams, from high-speed chases to heroic rescues and everything in between. Sit back and enjoy these thrilling encounters that show the intense reality of policing. Let's dive in. 1. Idaho suspect traffic stop. Brian Koberger, the man in the hot seat for the chilling Idaho student stabbings, found himself pulled over not once, but twice in a single morning. Driving a white Hyundai Elantra, a major clue in the case, he cruised down I-70 when an officer flagged him for tailgating too closely. At about 10:41 a.m., body camera footage captured the scene as Koberger and another guy were questioned. Despite the tension, they got a verbal slap on the wrist and were back on the road. But hold up, just minutes later, at 10:50 a.m., déjà vu. The exact Hyundai got stopped again by Indiana State Police for the same reason. Another trooper, another body cam, and yet again, they were let go with just a warning. Heard clear as day in the footage. Little did the officers know, they had just let the suspected murderer of 4 university students slip through their fingers, not once but twice, because at that time, nobody knew the white Hyundai was linked to those tragic Idaho murders. 2. Bodycam footage shows police takedown group of robbers when they targeted a cell phone store on East Ledbetter Drive in Dallas. These robbers thought they were about to hit the jackpot. Dallas police had other plans. They'd been on high alert, knowing these robbery crews had already hit over 40 businesses across the city. This time, they were ready. The robbers walked in posing as customers, claiming they needed to charge their phones. But their real intentions soon became clear. They got aggressive, demanded access to the safe, and threatened the employee. Even though no gun was seen, the situation was tense. They made off with cash, cell phones, and even the employee's car keys. But the cops were already on the scene when the car was stolen. A brief chase ensued, and the suspects were quickly apprehended. Thanks to the vigilant efforts of the Dallas police, these criminals won't be seeing daylight anytime soon. 3. Couple in van tries to lure 9-year-old girl. Here we had Michael Diaz, 34, and Tayana Carla Tassano, 31, who thought it was a bright idea to try and lure a 9-year-old girl into their van. This wasn't some late-night shadowy alley event. Oh no, it happened in the full light of day around 4:30 p.m., right there on McKinley Street in Hollywood. And their strategy? Not the cleverest, as Tassano told the young girl playing in her yard to come here. But here's the kicker. The girl's father was right there, sitting in his car, watching it all unfold. He didn't just sit back, he jumped into action, preventing his daughter from any contact. Tassano, clearly not pleased to be thwarted, retaliated by spitting in his face and landing a punch. But when she tried her luck again, the father wasn't having it and struck back in self-defense. Meanwhile, the scene got more heated as a bystander heard Diaz shouting, "Grab the kid!" and the girl's mother heard threats of violence as Tassano stormed back to the van. Not too long after, the police swooped in. Armed with descriptions of the suspects and their van, they didn't waste any time. They found the van nearby and inside Diaz, Tassano, and a scene that was far from child-friendly, with their 7-year-old child unrestrained among loose tools. Thankfully, the child was quickly taken into the safer hands of Child Protective Services. 4. APD arrest homicide suspect during drug bust. While on the beat around 215 Forsyth Street, deep in the southwest heart of the city, cops spotted a couple of guys knee-deep in some shady drug dealings. One of these dudes, cool as ice, tossed a bag of crack coca *nay right onto the ground, plain as day. That's when the boys in blue swooped in. Not just drugs, though they were packing marijuana too. But hold up, it got crazier. While they were cuffing these two, one guy tried to ditch a gun. Yup, you heard that right, a gun. It turned out one of these masterminds wasn't just a drug dealer, but also had a homicide warrant hanging over his head. Both had their pockets full of warrants for narcotics, and one was even on the wanted list for burglary. These guys were like walking hardware stores, as if that wasn't enough. The cops found car keys, crowbars, and all sorts of tools, like they were ready to start a late-night shift at a burglary bonanza. In the end, these two got a one-way ticket to the slammer, and the streets got a little safer. The exact amount of the stash remained a mystery, and where where exactly they were wanted? Well, that's anyone's guess. 5. A woman was discovered living inside a grocery store sign for a year. A cop got called to a grocery store for a situation that was way out of the ordinary. A contractor was fixing up the roof when he noticed a long extension cord stretching off to a little door at the back of the store's sign. His curiosity got the better of him. He opened the door and bam! Inside was a 34-year-old woman who had turned this tiny space into her own little apartment. She had everything set up nice and cozy. There was flooring, a small desk, some houseplants, even a computer and a coffee maker. She really made herself right at home. Turns out she'd been living there for a whole year without most people knowing a thing about it. The store manager came to check it out and was pretty shocked. They had seen her around before and even nicknamed her the Roof Ninja because she was often seen climbing up there. But living inside the sign, that blew everyone's mind. The officer helped her down from her high-up hideout, and just like that, she was told she couldn't hang around there anymore. They banned her on the spot. They even offered her some help finding a place to live, but she wasn't interested. She turned it down. 6. Police catch an identity thief in the act. On a bright, bustling October 17th, 2022, a sneaky woman tried to pull a fast one at the local bank, attempting to swipe $4,000 with some dodgy account info. But the real account holder was chilling in Pennsylvania, way ahead of the game, with that account long closed and a new one up and running. The cops were called in to sort out this suspected fraud fest. They found our would-be thief trying to make her move. When they cornered her, she was all fire and defiance, not about to step aside quietly. The officers laid it down straight. Her ID was a mismatch for the records, and they'd had a little chat with the legitimate account owner. But this gal, she stuck to her story, claiming she was the real deal. It smelled like identity theft, especially with this same old song and dance popping up in other spots. With her back against the wall, she was slapped with her Miranda rights and grilled a bit more. First, she was all talk to my lawyer, then tossing out this and that about who she was. But when push came to shove, she spilt it. Her name was Christina, and by the way, her license from Georgia wasn't exactly legit either. 7. San Diego cop locks himself in backseat with female detainee. This one takes us to Bay Park, where things got pretty intense for San Diego police officer Anthony Hare. Hare and other officers moved in to arrest several suspects in response to a suspected auto theft on Denver Street and Claremont Avenue. Hare nabbed a female suspect with a bench warrant and was tasked with taking her to police headquarters and then to the Las Colinas detention center in Santee, Calif. As they neared Las Colinas, things took a strange turn. Hare asked the woman what she was doing in the back seat, then switched off his body camera. He claimed she seemed to have a medical emergency. SDPD later released a video of Hare demonstrating what supposedly happened. He ended up in the back seat, claiming he accidentally shut the door with his foot, locking himself in. Oddly, he never called for medical assistance and removed his body camera. GPS showed the cruiser stopped on a dark residential street near Las Colinas at 1:34 a.m. 20 minutes later. Hare called for help to get out. Both he and the woman denied any sexual contact, though she admitted Hare showed interest in her. Traces of semen were found on Hare's belt. Hare resigned on September 14th, refusing to participate in the subject officer interview. 8. Florida cops arrest. Teen accused of shooting at woman's car. Brian Holmes, just 18, got himself thrown in cuffs after going total Hollywood in a road rage showdown. He had been swerving like a maniac without his headlights on, causing another car to dodge off the road just trying to avoid him. But that wasn't enough drama for Holmes. He slammed into the back of a woman's car as he tried to squeeze past her. Not satisfied, he pulled up beside her SUV and bam, fired 7 shots right out his window, pummeling her car. By some miracle, she walked away without a scratch. It took the cops just 30 minutes to catch this guy, thanks to some slick license plate reader tech. They nabbed Holmes at his pad, gun still on him. And get this, his excuse? He claimed the lady cut him off, so he figured he'd shoot out her tires to disable the vehicle. Yeah, right. Holmes was now staring down some serious charges. Aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, popping shots from a vehicle, and having a concealed weapon during a felony. 9. The most painful traffic stop you'll ever see. There she was, Darla, cruising down a road in Big Pine Key, Florida, when she suddenly veered off the path. It was a sunny afternoon in March, much, and things were about to heat up. She was swerving in her lane when a local deputy noticed her wild driving and decided to stop her. Darla wasn't having any of it, though. She saw him in her rearview mirror, gave him the middle finger, and just kept going, only to slam on her brakes a bit further down the road. She jumped out of her car without thinking twice, ignoring the deputy's orders to stay put. She walked right up to him, and man, things got intense. She wasn't just refusing to listen, she accused him of being a newbie and was adamant about her rights. You could clearly smell alcohol on her breath as she argued with the deputy. Even though she was full of fire, she ended up in handcuffs after she flat out refused to follow his directions. Just when you thought it couldn't get more intense, her ex-boyfriend showed up, making things even messier. Darla begged to be released, insisting she wasn't drunk. In the end, though, she was taken to jail and charged with serious crimes like fleeing from the police and resisting arrest. Although it was obvious she'd been drinking and her actions were erratic, the deputy decided not to charge her with driving under the influence after they did a sobriety test on the roadside. 10, 74-year-old robs bank at gunpoint. Ann Mayers, at 74 years old, pulled off a stunt that's got everyone in Ohio talking. She stormed into the All Group Financial Credit Union Bank, gun in hand, and made off with a cool $500. When the cops showed up at her door, she didn't bat an eye, just hit them with, "I did whatever you're here for." Talk about gutsy. Charged with aggravated robbery and tampering with evidence, yeah, she ditched her clothes post-heist. Mayers could be looking at up to 15 years behind bars. She's now cooling her heels at Butler County Jail with a bail set at a whopping $100,000. What drives a sweet old lady to go full-on bank robber? Turns out an online scammer duped her. Desperate times call for desperate measures, right? Mayers even tipped off her family about her bank robbing plan, but no one took Grandma seriously. Owing a pretty penny, $5,000 to her sister, and a staggering $65,000 to a friend, Mayers went all in. Sergeant Brandon McCroskey pointed out her slick moves to disguise her car before the robbery. Then she started claiming she was broke, couldn't afford a lawyer, and couldn't even get a public defender for her first court date. 11. Murder suspect caught during traffic patrol. The last thing you expect while cruising around Florida is for your car to be the star of a crime scene investigation. But that's exactly what happened when cops flagged down a vehicle caught on surveillance during a brutal stabbing near a hotel. Inside, an 18-year-old guy fighting for his life, too hurt to even chat with the officers about the nightmare he just lived through. As the police lights flashed, officers made their move, pulling over the suspect's ride. They didn't just stop for a chat, they needed that car as evidence. What unfolds is like something right out of a movie, except this script is all too real. In a twist no one saw coming, our young victim couldn't make it. By June 11th, 2023, he was gone, and the driver? She's now facing the music with a charge of first-degree murder. 12. Duluth police pulled the dog from a locked Porsche. A dog was seen trapped in a swanky white Porsche SUV, panting its heart out with thick, foamy saliva dripping. It was a hot day, around 96 degrees, and this pup was cooking in the car, parked outside an LA fitness gym in Duluth. A guy spotted the dog moving inside the car, and it was clear this situation was about to turn really bad and fast. He didn't just walk on by, no way. He rounded up some firefighters, who then called the cops. The crowd grew, everyone on edge, and Gwinnett Fire Rescue showed up like the cavalry. They popped open the SUV's hatch, and our overheated furry friend was struggling big time. Without skipping a beat, a bystander scooped up the dog and dashed to Banfield Animal Hospital. And yes, this heroic moment was all caught on the police body cam. Meanwhile, the cop was trying to track down the owner. Inside the gym, this young dude in his 20s bolted towards the door, mumbling something about a dog. It turned out he had forgotten his roommate's dog in the car while hitting the weights for about 30 minutes. Can you believe it? Thanks to the quick actions of the vet staff, who cooled the poor pup down with ice packs and fluids, the dog's temperature, which had shot up to 109.5 degrees, began to drop. It looked like this furry pal would make it after a serious chill session at the vet. 13. Police chase ensues. After Florida fugitive flees traffic stop, Alexandria Mason, 42, wasn't about to make it easy for anyone when St. Johns County deputies pulled her over near I-95 and SR-16. With an active felony warrant hanging over her head for skipping court on drug charges, she was a ticking time bomb. And when the DUI unit deputy showed up suspecting she might be under the influence, that was her cue. Mason floored it, launching a high-speed chase north on I-95 that had everyone on edge. She was determined, weaving through traffic like she was in some kind of action movie. But here's where the drama really kicks up a notch. The SJSO Aviation Unit and Florida Highway Patrol got in on the action, with helicopters buzzing overhead as they chased her towards Jacksonville. The climax? FHP troopers pulled a slick move with a precision immobilization technique maneuver, stopping Mason in her tracks near I-95 and Atlantic BLAD. In the chaos, a civilian's car got dinged, but thankfully no one was hurt. Can't say the same for a trooper, though, who ended up with a pretty bad hand injury. And inside Mason's car, a cocktail of trouble, stolen firearm, drug paraphernalia, and a bunch of controlled substances. Talk about being caught red-handed. 14. Women think they can shoplift $3,500 in Target merchandise without consequences. On the chill morning of November 11th, 2023, a trio of bold shoplifters thought they could pull a fast one at Target. But guess what? The cops were already on their tail, lying in wait like hawks. Officers spotted one of the suspects, arms loaded with goodies, looking like Christmas had come early. They trailed them to a white getaway car where another sneaky suspect was stashed away, thinking they were invisible. The cops swooped in, asking for IDs and those ever-elusive receipts. One of the suspects tried to play it smooth, claiming they had a receipt, but oh boy, were they in for a treat. They were asked to march right back inside. Another suspect, cozy in the car, threw a fit about needing to use the restroom. Yeah, right? As the suspects squirmed, one even whimpered about the handcuffs being too tight and begged to text their boyfriend. Tough luck. Officers weren't buying any of that sob story. Meanwhile, these mischievous bandits got chatty, flipping topics from fantasy football to how bummed they were about possibly missing Thanksgiving. They even had the nerve to ask for their vape and other knickknacks from their car. But the officers, sharp as nails, noticed these inconsistent stories about their purses. Something was fishy. After locking down every item, the officers prepared to book them. And just like that, the holiday season had one less group of troublemakers to worry about. 15. Woman's entitlement pushes police to the edge. Jasmine was cruising along when bam, the lights flashed and an officer pulled her over. Why? She had no seatbelts. It turned out that Jasmine was in a bit of a fix. She had no driver's license or ID, and she blurted out that there was a family emergency. But here's where things got dicey. The officer was asking for her name, and Jasmine, she was stalling. When she finally admitted her name and her license was suspended, you could tell she was scared stiff about landing in jail. The officer tried to keep things cool, assuring her they'd only arrest if absolutely necessary. However, Jasmine's nerves were shot. She was fumbling, not following what the officer was laying down, which led to her getting handcuffed. But Jasmine wasn't having it. She resisted, and just like that, it was chaos. More cops came in as she struggled, worrying aloud about her kids, desperate to call her family. As the encounter spiraled, charges of obstruction and escape were thrown her way. Throughout this ordeal, caught on Bodycam for all to see, the emphasis was on keeping things safe, especially for her kids. Despite the pleas and panic, Jasmine ended up in custody, a rough end to a tense showdown. 16. Hospital trip gone wrong. In Los Angeles, what started as a typical call to a traffic accident involving an ambulance near North Alameda Street and the 101 freeway quickly spiraled into something more intense. The officers from the Central Traffic Division, CTD, ended up dealing with more than just a crash scene when they met Brian Goldberg, who was soon arrested for a serious DUI involving drugs. Goldberg, already banged up with some injuries to his face and head from the crash, was taken to the hospital by the Los Angeles Fire Department rescue ambulance. But the excitement didn't stop with the ambulance ride. As they rolled him down the hospital corridor, Goldberg suddenly got a burst of energy. He tried jumping off the gurney, ignoring the officers telling him to stay put. Things heated up when Goldberg became aggressive, even trying to bite the officers. That's when one officer had to step in more forcefully. To keep him under control, the officer had to hold Goldberg's throat for a bit, and as things got more heated, switched to holding him around the neck. Despite this rough handling, Goldberg didn't end up with any new injuries from this scuffle. 17. Fake name, won't get your teeth fixed, dental office fraud. Sometimes protecting your identity can get you into some wild situations. There's this dental office in Atlanta, Georgia, where a woman walked in trying to get some dental work done. But here's the twist. She was using someone else's identity. The Chambly police showed up and found her chilling in the dental chair. When they asked questions, she claimed she checked in with her name. But that story didn't hold up for long. She started acting all confused, raising the officer's suspicion suspicions. They cuffed her and took her out of the office. She insisted she wasn't using a stolen credit card and was paying with cash, but her shaky story made the officers even more suspicious. After more questioning, she confessed she had bought someone else's complete profile with all their personal info from someone she knew. A search of her bag revealed a stash of cash, which the officers confiscated. They also found a fake ID and a fraudulent credit card, adding to her troubles. 18. Wrong way DUI. Driver's reckless drive to pick up a child. In Dunwoody, Georgia, a cop on patrol spotted an SUV driving the wrong way into oncoming traffic. With sirens blaring, he quickly pulled the car over, worried about the danger. As he approached, the strong smell of alcohol hit him. The driver confessed her license was suspended because of a previous DUI. She said she was trying to pick up her child from daycare and got confused by the traffic. When asked about her drinking, she first claimed she had just one drink, but under pressure, she admitted to having two. The officer then did a sobriety test, which she failed. She was arrested for DUI on the spot. At the station, a breath test showed her blood alcohol level was twice the legal limit. This led to several charges: DUI, reckless driving, and driving with a suspended license. She was taken to DeKalb County Jail, wrapping up a hectic day for both her and the police. 19. Traffic stop leads to arrest of man wanted. Talk about a long overdue game of hide and seek. Mohammed Bilal El Amin, a man on the run for a chilling murder back in '94, finally hit a roadblock in his decades of freedom, all thanks to a routine traffic stop near Athens by the sharp folks at the Oconee County Sheriff's Office. El Amin wasn't just any fugitive. He had the FBI on his tail with a juicy reward for his capture since the early 2000s, after he allegedly blasted a man right in the face at the Oakland City MARTA station in Atlanta. In November 1994, El Amin and 18-year-old Jafford Tucker from Hapeville were strolling along when, out of nowhere, El Amin pulled out a handgun and boom, Tucker was down, not getting up. Fast forward to now, and you've got this guy coasting through Oconee County, thinking he's still playing it cool after nearly 28 years. But guess what? The deputies weren't just handing out tickets. They were about to close a chapter on a cold case as old as some vintage wine. 20. Black Panther director Ryan Coogler wrongly accused of attempting to rob bank. Ryan Coogler, the mastermind behind Black Panther, just wanted to pull some cash from his bank account and instead found himself in a real-life action scene straight out of a movie. It all started when Coogler slipped a note to the teller at Bank of America asking to withdraw a cool $12,000 discreetly. But plot twist, the teller totally misread the vibes and thought it was a robbery in progress. Can you believe it? Next thing you know, the cops swooped in. They found Coogler at the teller window, slapped on the handcuffs, and marched him right out of there. Talk about mistaken identity, and get this, the guy was trying to keep things down low and avoid any unnecessary spectacle. Outside, two officers were already grilling a man and woman chilling in a black Lexus SUV, waiting for Coogler. The description matched, and bam, they got detained too. But hold up, it didn't end there. After some quick detective work, the cops pieced it all together. They confirmed it was all a big misunderstanding. Bank of America stepped up, acknowledged the oopsie, and released everyone faster than you could say, Wakanda forever. That's a wrap on the most unbelievable police footage captured by Bodycams. Which clip was your favorite? Or do you have a story about an unbelievable moment caught on a Bodycam? I'd love to hear about it in the comments. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more incredible videos like this one. Until next time, goodbye.